Hi everybody, Jeremy Siskind here. I'm the author of Jazz Piano Fundamentals series, that's book 1. I'm the author of Playing Solo Jazz Piano. I'm the author of the Solo Standards for Piano series. And today I'm going to talk with you about a subject that's out of Jazz Piano Fundamentals book 3, where I talk about modal and modern jazz. And this is about types, variants of the pentatonic scale. And I find pentatonic theory fascinating. Pentatonics are so cool. They're so interesting. There's so much that you can do with it. And so today I'm going to show you, I think, 6 different pentatonic scales that I think you're going to have a lot of fun playing around with. And then I'll certainly invite you as well to come up with your own pentatonic scale. But let's review some of the stakes here. Why do we care about pentatonic scales? Well, so here's your run-of-the-mill old major pentatonic scale. Right, a pentatonic scale, penta means 5, toned is a note. And like this is so important because it's our purest kind of universal scale. It's used in folk music, it's used in pop music. And one reason is because we can get this scale by stacking the pitches in fifths. So if we start from the tonic pitch, we stack in fifths, we get all the notes of the pentatonic scale. Right, and why is that important? Well, fifths are our purest interval outside of a unison or an octave. So we're stacking our purest intervals up, and so we get this very pure sounding scale. Another way to look at this scale is that we've eliminated the 2 dissonant notes, F and B, that create a tritone and rub up against notes by a half step in this scale. So very pure scale. This means a bunch of things. 1, great for creating melodies. 2, really cool for improvising. And, just to start your wheels turning in terms of how you can improvise, it's not necessarily that you have to use the C major pentatonic scale to improvise in C major. That sounds fine. But I think the more interesting applications start to be putting the C major pentatonic scale over F major. Or maybe over B flat major sharp 11. And we could kind of keep going with this list. Other places, what about G minor? D minor. Okay, etc., etc. So like using these scales has a ton of applications. And we create voicings out of pentatonic scales. So I've written here the most common kind of voicing that we create out of pentatonic scales, where we take every other note of the scale until we get to 5 notes. There's a lot to say about that. There's a lot of information in this book about mixing between different pentatonic scales, about using these voicings, about what other kinds of voicings you can do with pentatonics. But that's a good overview for now. So what are these 6 pentatonic scales I want to tell you about? Well, the first one, as you could guess, is the major pentatonic. And let's see. Let's get this camera zoom right. We already talked about this one, so we're going to keep going. You're probably familiar, if you've studied some jazz theory, with the minor pentatonic. This is a go-to pentatonic scale, really important. Worth noting, well, let me play it first. And this is like a Dorian or potentially Aeolian flavor of minor. And I say that because of the flat 7 in there in particular. So it's probably going with a minor 7th chord. Now, the major and minor pentatonic scales, if you're not aware of this, these are modes of one another. So this C minor pentatonic has the same notes as E flat major pentatonic. So I say that because there could be some name confusion, between them. So they are, in many ways, the same scale, or the same set of 5 notes, starting in a different place. So the notes of the C major pentatonic scale would be the same as the notes of the A minor pentatonic scale. Now, listen to how these sound as voicings. forming these voicings by taking every other note of the scale until I get to 5 notes. If you're anything like me, your ear tells you McCoy Tyner, Herbie Hancock, a little bit of Chick Corea, maybe some Bill Evans thrown in there, with those sorts of voicings. Now, since that is a Dorian style pentatonic scale, I want to show you what we might call the melodic minor pentatonic, which would go with more of a minor 6 or melodic minor sort of a sound, maybe also with a minor major 7th chord. And these next 4 pentatonic scales that you're going to see, including this one, they all change just one note by half step. If I'm doing it right, I think I am, from our major pentatonic scale. So they're all going to be really closely related to that magical pentatonic scale sound that we talked about. So here the only difference from the major pentatonic is that I've flatted the 3rd. Instead of an E natural, there's an E flat. Really cool set of voicings that I could imagine using not just for C minor 6, but also this would be a perfect F7 voicing. And this is a really important scale because this one, whereas the other pentatonic scales eliminated the tritone to make it more peaceful sounding, more pure, this scale does have a tritone, which is important because we really want tritones for dominant chords. And this is why this makes such a good F7 voicing, and you could also imagine it being a B7 alt voicing. You might also hear in here A half diminished. Right? So you could see, or D sus flat 9 or a million other chords. You could see that if you learn these well, if you learn these hand shapes, you can apply them a lot of places. All right. Then we have the Mixolydian pentatonic, or I've heard some people call this the dominant pentatonic. And so here, the first 4 notes are the same, but then we're going to raise that 7th. And so now again, we are forming a tritone between 2 notes. But it's worth noting that there's no half step anywhere in here, right? Am I correct about that? I'm pretty sure I'm correct. So this could be a good C7 voicing. Let me make sure I'm playing it right. There we go. I wanted to sneak that A natural in there. Pretty cool sounding voicings. And yeah, because there's no half steps, this does make sure that those voicings all sound really pure. So could definitely imagine using this, like I said, C7, F sharp 7 altered. Could imagine using it for a G minor 6. Let's see what else. A flat major 7 sharp 5 it would sound cool with. I'm blanking on many other options. Feel free to tell me what I missed in the chat. Now here's my favorite one. I'm not supposed to be biased, but I love the flat 6 pentatonic. So this one is kind of the inverse of the dominant or Mixolydian pentatonic because we keep the first 4 notes, but instead of raising the last one up a half step, we lower it a half step. And this is like this classic magical sound. I think of like Wagner, and it just got a sparkle to it. So cool. This one does have both a half step and a tritone. So it could be like a B flat 7 voicing or E7 voicing. It could be an F minor 6 voicing. Could be a D half diminished voicing. Could be a G sus flat 9 voicing. Those are the main ones that occur to me, but I just love the sound of this scale. And let me just pause for a second and remind myself and you that I'm showing you these voicings primarily, but it could also be used melodically for all of these chords. And I just love this shape so much melodically. That it would be such a fun one to apply. All right, and then final one, and this is one that I didn't include in the book, but I decided to give you a bonus one. These names, by the way, pretty unofficial. I'm calling this one the diminished pentatonic, because all of those notes would track onto a half-whole octatonic scale. I thought about calling it the octatonic pentatonic, but then I thought, that's madness. Madness that way lies. And this one, certainly has the crunch of this half step, right? This Phrygian note, the flat two. And so, we're going to have some unpleasantness in the voicings, some of this minor ninth thing, but it's a pretty cool sound. Pretty interesting, a little bit West Side Story vibes going on there, and definitely as an improvisation tool. This is like an A major and a C major triad together. Because they both have the E in common, it is just the 5 notes instead of 6, because there's one shared note. So I hope that you found at least one sound in here that you want to play around with. Let me show you this page one more time. So we went through the major pentatonic, the minor pentatonic, the melodic minor pentatonic, the mixolydian or dominant pentatonic, the flat 6 pentatonic, and the diminished pentatonic. If you want to get deeper into this pentatonic stuff, it's so interesting, and there's a lot about it here in Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 3. Order now, check it out. And if you watched this far, why don't you say something using the word madness? I hope you enjoyed this pentatonic madness, and have a good day. Enjoy. Bye-bye.